Hello, everybody, and welcome to the haunting of Good Society. Today, we will be telling the tale of the Cluett Sisters, who are estranged siblings and former child detectives who parted ways over a dark secret. But today, we are reuniting and telling this story through a system called Good Society, which is a Jane Austen RPG by one of our sponsors, Storybrewers Roleplaying. Another sponsor of ours tonight making this happen is Friday Afternoon Tea, which is a tea shop here in Seattle making really evocative and nerd-inspired blends that are truly delicious. If you watch D&D Community, then you're familiar with Friday. And finally, there's Behold Her Studio, my game studio, which has a Patreon you can support to listen to the session 0 of this campaign. If you finish tonight's live show and you're like, I need to know every secret and every scandal right away. But how about let's get this party started with some intros. And we will go from oldest to youngest sister. I am Lysa Penrose, and I am playing Henrietta Cluett, aka Hetty Cluett.
Hi, everybody. I'm Eugenio Vargas, DM Jazzy Hands, and I will be playing Harriet Cluett, aka Hattie Cluett.
Hi, I'm Friday Elliott, and I will be playing Edwina Cluett.
And TK, who are you?
I'm TK, and I am the chaperone. For the next 4 weeks, I will be checking in on our three sisters and ensuring that their lives are good and proper and full of as little scandal and ghosts as possible.
Oh, good. I was worried for a moment with all this red wedding talk on Twitter, but this is going to be just like fun and gentle.
Yeah, of course. Of course. You know, when I think of fun and gentle, I think of myself first.
Oh, good. But let's all get in the mood for some haunted, terrible story time with our opening credits. TK, take it away.
It's me, TK. So, the year is 1815. The town is Honeyfield. In the late spring, as flowers and leaves are beginning to sprout like jewels. The day is May 13th, a Friday, and Count Simon Cradock is marrying his third wife, not a month after burying his second. The blushing bride is your childhood acquaintance, Moira Ashton, and while she seems overwhelmed with joy at the prospect of marrying the love of her young life, something seems amiss and almost sinister about the rushed nuptials. Let's go ahead and get into the story. It is I should say Anne, because we're starting with a vowel. It is an uncommonly sweltering hot day. You can feel the crisp cotton of your undergowns, your shifts sticking to your necks, collarbones, underarms, lower ribs. All the fanning in the world, all of the pomanders and perfumes in the world cannot hide the fact that this is a warm late spring day, which is very interesting since typically there's still a bit of chill in the air on these days in early May. The church, more of a chapel really in Honeyfield, which is only about a 300 or 400 person town, depending on the religious holiday, depending on who's come to dinner. The chapel is nearly full to bursting, and though Honeyfield does not typically house the genteel or the nobility of England, it commands its own sort of respect here, mostly landowners and agricultural barons, landlords. A carriage pulls up to the chapel, and you can see from among the crowd how it opens, and a woman in white with her large sleeves and an almost Grecian and almost Hellenic styled dress with the empire waist and the gorgeous, almost an iridescent silk that cascades down her arms. She has a wide brimmed hat and veil covering head, neck, shoulders, and the upper waist. One delicately gloved hand upon an older man's hand, and you see Inspector Ezra Stewart, the bride's uncle and guardian, begin to lead her up the steps so that she can prepare. She is not quite in her wedding gown yet, but it would not do for her husband-to-be to see her. There are 3 young women watching from the crowd. But who catches her eye first as she begins to enter the chapel?
I feel like Henrietta is standing a little bit behind Harriet and Edwina, leaning against a wall. Not really proper posture for a young lady, and just rolls her eyes as Moira and Ezra exit the carriage.
Without looking at my twin sister at all, without breaking eye contact with the bride-to-be, Hattie just says, Henrietta.
I straighten up, kind of straighten up the front of my dress that is wrinkled from my posture. I still can't believe she's getting married. It's months after dear Carolyn's passing.
She's happy. Henrietta, look at her. I agree, it's fast, but we owe her a bit of happiness, don't we? I mean, we've known her for so long.
Right. Known her for so long. Still, seems suspicious to me. Something weird is going on.
As far as I can tell so far, something mundane, so nothing too exciting. Don't get your hopes up.
Edwina, listening in on her sister's conversation, kind of snaps her fan closed. Ladies, it's a party. Don't worry, something exciting is going to happen. Whether it's, a mundane everyday kind of a wedding or whether there's something mysterious going on, there's bound to be at least good food and eligible young men.
We know.
Now you say that, Edwina, you say eligible young men, and you sort of see the back of an older man's ears go a little pink, having overheard such scandalous talk at the wedding. I do have to ask, did any of you bring a chaperone to the wedding, or are you merely in one another's company?
Ooh.
No chaperone for Edwina.
And
Rarely a chaperone.
I think as a member of ostensibly a member of the clergy, I think Hattie has decided that unless Henrietta has someone else in mind, that she will be Hetty's chaperone for the day.
That makes sense.
I think
How
I
does
was
Hetty feel?
expecting our parents to be our chaperones or to be attending the wedding, but they weren't here when we arrived.
Oh, it is very strange that they would not have come to this, even though, from what you know, you haven't been in town for very long, but from what you know, Count Simon Cradock is indeed the richest man in town. It would not do for your parents to not show up. And already you can hear the murmur of rumor. A couple of people sort of look over their shoulders at the three of you.
I feel like I just agreed to Hattie acting as chaperone because, well, first I probably laughed. I was like, okay, yeah, sure, you chaperone.
Excellent.
But also, I probably arrived as late as possible to join everybody. So I was just like, okay, well, there's no time to find someone else if our parents aren't here.
I don't think Edwina thinks very much of chaperones. Edwina's pretty much comfortable traveling on her own here and there and doesn't really mind what people think about that. She's wealthy enough that it doesn't really matter what she does.
I think Hattie is aware that Hetty is not a huge fan of the idea of me being her chaperone, and only cares a little. Not that she doesn't care about her sister, but like, this is our relationship. I do things that need to be done, and because it's the reverse of the way we were as kids, I think, if I remember correctly.
How did the three of you arrive at the wedding?
Well, apparently
Did you come
separately.
together?
I arrived separately, super late, and probably the first thing I was like, where are our parents? I need to talk to them.
Well, I certainly arrived very early and in a fine coach. I haven't really bothered to talk to very many people. Just waiting for my sisters.
And I think, I actually think, Edwina, I probably came with you, but the coach ride was likely quite quiet.
And since we did not determine this during our session 0, and because this is the first time the audience is getting to know each of you, let's describe ourselves.
Ooh, outfits. Okay, sorry.
Tell me when you are whispering among yourselves and the rest of the crowd seems to watch the bride, and then their eyes catch on 3 young women that they have not seen in town for some time. What do they see? Let's start with Edwina because she arrived first.
Edwina, as she descends from her fine carriage, is clothed in an elegant gown that is made of fine silk, the highest quality, an unusually high quality for her birth and station the last time anyone in town saw her. The cloth that she's made of, the dress is primarily a sheer enough kind of shade of gold that it is just verging on inappropriately off-white. With an inset of kind of a deep scandalous red.
Would you say that Edwina's gown looks more, not garish, but garners more attention than, say, a bridal gown would?
I certainly would. Yes, Edwina is here to be admired.
All right, yeah. Let me make a note real quick. We'll move on to the second person who came.
No. So I think Hattie arrives in a very simple sort of gray frock that is not unflattering, but it's definitely sort of almost a little utilitarian. She has a rosary that is sort of displayed prominently on the outside of the dress, and a small little, I guess, handbag type accessory that very obviously holds a slightly too large for it Bible.
Hetty looks, aside from dress, looks exactly like Harriet. because we are identical twins. Henrietta being a few minutes older. And she's dressed, I think, older than her age. She's 23 and 5 minutes. She's wearing a dress that looks like it's been worn before, so not a new frock, and maybe slightly out of fashion, but still simple enough that it is elegant and timeless.
Of course, no one would expect nothing less than that out of the eldest daughter of a family that has perhaps fallen a little out of fortune, but you definitely wore it well. You wore it with modesty and maturity, and that's what people are looking for at the wedding. So I think that is going to be just fine. Do you immediately go in and seek your seats, or do you disperse? Do you speak to each other? Do you look for anyone that you know? Do you go visit the bride?
The first thing I do is, if Harriet and Edwina are standing together even for a moment, is rush up to them and just like, where are Mom and Dad? I need to talk. What is this letter of a lieutenant engaged? This is really the sort of thing they need to tell someone in person.
Well, congratulations on your betrothal.
Yeah, what are you wearing?
What aren't you wearing?
Typical.
Edwina is gonna just brush off her sisters. She hasn't spoken with them in 3 years and doesn't really see a particular need to linger now when she might be networking. Plus, there's a certain young gentleman she's hoping to encounter.
I haven't seen them, Hetty. I don't think Mother and Father, she says pointedly, looking around at all of the people who heard her say Mom and Dad at a fete. She says, I haven't seen Mother and Father yet today, but Edwina and I came straight here.
And I just start looking around. Well, maybe they'll show up. It would be strange for them not to. Where's Edwina off to? Some things never change.
Undoubtedly, she's off to look for her next mark.
Gosh, vicious. No, Edwina, she is running off, certainly. But I think it has a little bit more to do with the fact that there is a man leaning against one of the pews. His jacket is unbuttoned, revealing only the vest underneath and of course the button shirt, the jabot. But for a formal event, for his jacket to not be buttoned and for the sort of for it to sort of hang open a little bit at the sides, his hair has been combed and then not so stylishly raked with fingers, perhaps not his own, because there's a little bruising of reddish lip color around the mouth that he has attempted to wipe away, but it seems to be staining his chin a bit. There is a telltale sign of sharing whispers in a corner. But his eyes, smoky charcoal, catch Edwina's, and Lord Francis Pratt sort of inclines his head to invite her over, and I believe that is you, Eugenio.
I believe it is. Yeah, where's my... Here it is. Yes. Yes, of course. Oh. Look who's back in town.
Lord Francis, I see you're enjoying the festivities.
Lady Cluett, almost as much as you seem to be.
Well, one doesn't waste time at a fete.
Well, and you have never been one to waste time anywhere, have you?
Not when I know what I want.
And isn't that always?
You know me well.
It's been a long time, Lady Edwina.
Indeed, indeed. I just wanted to check in before the fete got well underway, see if you're supplied with everything you might need for the day.
I think so, but one hopes there will be a bit of excitement, even for a wedding of the wealthiest man in town. These can be such dull, drawn-out affairs. You know how I love a bit of excitement in my life.
Well, goodness knows he's had enough of these. It's all kind of rote at this point.
You're absolutely right. Too much, though. Too much. Sort of looks around, not really caring, but for show.
Excellent. Well, you enjoy yourself, Lord Francis, and let me know if myself or any of my acquaintances can be of service to you.
He pauses for a minute, sort of stunned out of his Playboy facade, with that pretty clear offer, not of that, you dirty people watching. And then finally, after sort of recomposing himself, says, I think I might just do that, Lady Cluett. Tell me, are you staying at your family's home?
Indeed.
Well, then I know just where to find you.
Indeed. Edwina will kind of go and see if she can find a seat, keep an eye on the room.
Do you sit on the groom's side or the bride's side?
Oh, the bride's side.
And how close to the front?
Very. Certainly. First or second pew.
Oh.
Family and friends pew.
That's right.
Excellent. Lord Francis Pratt makes note of where you're sitting, and you can see this sort of sly smile that crawls up the corner of his mouth, and there's a glint of white and teeth that are sharp as a knife. What a wolfish grin he has. He leans away from the pew and stalks his way towards the back of the room, flares his jacket, leans one arm over the seat, looks over his shoulder, catches eyes with Hetty and Hattie, winks, and looks back towards the front. Hetty and Hattie, you just saw your sister have a very open exchange with a very scandalous young lord. Are you going to try and diffuse the situation, or do you have your own plans?
Well, she certainly didn't learn manners wherever they sent her.
We never really thought she would learn much of anything from them. Edwina will always learn exactly what she wants to learn, and not a bit more. Or less, to her credit.
I suppose. Should we sit, or I'm feeling like I might want a word with this Moira. I mean, our childhood friend Moira.
Yes, thank you, Hetty. I do know who Moira is. Go have a word. I'm going to have a seat, hopefully somewhere between Edwina and Lord Pratt.
Well, save me a seat, will you? And I kind of just wander through the crowd.
Y'all,
Okay.
I just realized that we named that man Lord Pratt. How
Yeah, we
perfect.
sure did.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, we
It
did.
did not occur to me until this very moment, and I love everything about it.
It was an incredible choice on our part. Whoop. I think I'm gonna sneeze. One sec.
Oh no! Save yourself, TK.
It's too bad because it's like I know the moment I stop thinking about it, it's gonna happen.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, let's go with Hetty real quick. We're gonna follow her upstairs, out of the chapel and upstairs to where the bridal suite has been set up. This is typically the acolytes' room in the chapel, where they help the priests prepare for the service. They store a lot of candles up here and several of the old hymnals. But today it has been cleaned up, and there's even a waist-high mirror for the bride to admire herself in.
I'm going to walk just past the door and like knock lightly. Well, would the door be open or closed?
It is closed.
Okay, well, I'm
but
gonna knock on the door.
but not like sealed or anything, just closed.
Okay.
Yeah, you hear a I'm so uh, Uncle Ezra, could you please? And you hear the heavy footfalls of Inspector Ezra Stewart as he approaches the door, and he sets a hand on the handle, pulls it open just a little bit to peer outside. There's no recognition on his face when he sees you, and I'm sorry.
He fully opens the door. He finds it difficult to open the door because Henrietta's hand is on it, and you see her struggling because her arm is kind of keeping the door closed a little bit until finally letting go. And under her breath, she says, "I have to have this conversation, Henrietta."
I'm sorry. The service will begin shortly. We still have prayers to get through. Is there something that I can do for you?
Oh, Inspector. Henrietta. Cluett.
My Lady Cluett. It's been... Look how you've grown. I remember when you were just a little girl. I remember you and your sisters, you would chase me around on all my cases.
Yes, a long time ago. I'm a different person now.
The things you saw, they could do that.
Yes.
Is there something I can do for you? Moira will be pleased to see you. Come in.
I was hoping to have a word.
He like opens the door like about halfway and then looks at the two of you, and
I kind of just look at him.
I'll be just outside. And he slips through the door and closes it fully.
I turn to Moira. Moira, it's been so long, too long.
Oh, Hetty, I'm so glad you're here. And she turns around and you can see the buttons that have come from the mid back all the way to the tailbone. And she turns around and she's just a vision in this gauzy white. But there's something about it. It is ethereal and ghost-like in its wrappings. And you would almost think perhaps it is a little too funerary for a wedding gown.
You look just like... Well, I just wanted to wish you well, and I'm going to walk over to her and just like clutch her hands in mine, maybe too tight.
Yeah, her white gloves sort of crease a little bit under your hands, and you can tell that these are gloves not meant to be touched by bare hands at all.
Whoops.
Because the oil of the skin will rub off on them and leave fingerprints. And she sort of like looks very uncomfortable and winces, but there are tears in her eyes where she's trying to struggle between that, oh, my very expensive gloves, or oh, the person I haven't seen in over 10 years.
Are you happy?
I'm the happiest that I could be, Hetty.
Does he treat you well?
He treats me better than anyone's ever treated me.
And what they say, rumors and whatnot, they don't worry you.
Hetty, you were never one to care about rumors.
You don't think it's strange? It's too fast.
Carolyn was very sick.
She had a fine constitution, I hear.
Well,
Runs in the family, I hear.
I would know. I was her nurse in her last days. I wish you
Of
could see how it
course.
broke him. But I'm just glad I could be there for him.
Yes. And I abruptly let go of her hands. Be
She
there for him.
you let her hands go so hard and so fast that she actually topples a little bit in the chair. She has to restudy herself.
Oh dear, is your dress too tight?
Oh, no, just a dizziness. It comes upon me sometimes. It's all right. It must be the heat.
I know I've been gone for a while. What I remember of something just, I guess, I'm just worried. I'm your friend, your childhood friend, and I worry for you. And something just doesn't add up. But if you're happy, if you're sure.
Of course, you always fretted so much, and that's what I loved about you, Hetty. But everything's going to be all right. Once we and she sets her gloves to her forehead for a second and sort of wobbles, and once we're married, he's going to take me somewhere that's going to be a little better for my constitution. You know, it can be so stifling here.
It
But it's all right.
it seems strange that the partners of this count, who I haven't met yet, but I look forward to having a word of congratulations with him. It seems strange that all his wives should suffer.
She takes her veil and she sets it on top of like her where her hair has been done up in these like elaborate sort of diadem and curls, and she takes the scarf of it and sort of wraps it around her throat very loosely, and then thinks better of it and tightens it a little bit more, and she sort of plays with the silk for a second, and then I'm sorry, the nerves must be getting to me. I wish we had more time, but that's all right. I'll see you right after the reception.
I'll see you right after.
Of course.
I'm going to reach just like kind of under my skirt, kind of near my ankle, and I have a flask there. And I'd like to offer it to her and say, liquid courage.
She sees the flask. What's it made of?
Gosh.
What's it look like? Tell me about this flask.
I think this flask looks. I actually, with Hetty, she's not fancy like Edwina's fancy. It's probably just very simple, unadorned.
Okay. Yeah, she sort of looks at it and she sniffs it a little, and then she takes Glove's hands and sort of like tips it to the lips, tips it back down, like as quickly as possible, and hands it back to you. She sort of like, you could tell where she's like holding a little bit in her mouth, but then she like has to swallow it very quickly, and she just sort of coughs a lot. You hear fingers at the door, like a knocking sound, and is everything all right in there?
Yes, I was just saying my goodbyes before the big moment. And I'm going to take the flask and just kind of like chug a little bit.
Yeah.
And then put the top back on, hide it again, and just.
Her eyes are wide with admiration when you chug it. As you tell her congratulations and you get up to move towards the door, it occurs to you that the man's voice on the other side of the door was not Inspector Ezra.
Oh.
Instead, it was a sort of. It is a voice with a spine, a young voice, definitely masculine, with almost a sort of military discipline to it. And when the door opens, you see the golden curls of Lieutenant Levi Lockhart as he stands at attention next to the door with a. With his coat buttoned all the way up, his cravat very rigidly arranged, and he sees you and he snaps to attention and averts his eyes away from the bride. Friday, I believe that's you.
Oh, yes. Lieutenant Levi Lockhart. Um, Miss Henrietta, Lady Henrietta, uh,
Oh.
lovely to make your acquaintance. I believe we are
Mm.
betrothed to be wed.
Yes, what circumstances we find ourselves in. And I'm like trying to like maybe I have my fan and I'm just like blocking my booze breath. Oops.
The lieutenant straightens his tie, very clean cut, wide-eyed, naive.
I'll offer my hand.
A kiss on the hand is offered. May I escort you down to the pews? I believe the
Oh.
ceremony's about to begin.
Yes, I guess suppose that would be appropriate. It's nice to meet you in person. I've only seen pictures, read letters.
Indeed, and yourself, you're even more lovely in person than your parents indicated.
Oh,
I mean, not to say
flatter.
that I was told that you were very beautiful, and you are even more. So, shall we?
Um, let's, and I'll kind of interlock arms with him, and goodbye, Moira. Good luck. And just kind of shut the door behind me.
Yeah, Inspector Ezra Stewart is nowhere to be found. Presumably, he is welcoming people and telling them to go ahead and take their seats. Moira has been left alone in her bridal chamber.
All right. Shall we go sit?
Yes, I believe Harriet, my sister, has saved me a seat and hopefully one for you as well.
Your sister, I believe I saw her as we entered today. She resembles you strongly.
Yes, we're twins.
Ah,
We
there it
get that
is.
so much.
Great, and we'll go and walk down and find our seats.
When you walk down to the pews to find a place to sit, you do, of course, see Edwina sitting in the second pew, traditionally reserved for family of the bride. Now, granted, Moira won't have much family, as Inspector Stewart was her guardian and her uncle and her only family that is living. But leaning over the pew as though to speak to Edwina, but with his eyes further down the church, is another man of the clergy who has arrived along with the priest to officiate over the wedding. And this man of the clergy has this sort of stormy dark hair with a streak of silver along each temple and a scar under one of his eyes. It has come up into the eyebrow and leaves this milky countenance. But he wears it well. There's something about it that makes him look not foreboding, but formidable. When the two of you enter, he turns fully towards you, shoulders toward you, and walks swiftly down with his cane, but he passes both of you and makes a beeline for Hattie. I believe this is you, Lysa.
Ah, Father Cyrus. Harriet, so nice of you. So nice to see you again.
Father Cyrus, I didn't think we would have the honor of seeing you here today. Oh, how have you been?
Oh, keeping myself busy.
That's good to hear.
Practicing, well...
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, of course. But I'm glad that you made the trip today, here to celebrate such a joyous occasion, Hattie says, somewhat unsure.
He's going to lower his voice and kind of lean in, perhaps uncomfortably close. I can sense that something in your voice. You've always been very astute, very tuned in to frequencies that others do not sense. Is something off to you, child?
And you have always been able to read me like the Bible, Father Cyrus. Have you seen Lucian Knight today?
So strange of you to ask that. I've seen in passing in the crowd.
We should discuss this further, perhaps elsewhere, but Lucian came to me not long before I arrived and had some concerns about today, beyond, of course, the understandable, I don't even know how to describe what poor Lucian must be feeling, seeing his former lover here to be wed. But it was more than that.
More than that. So beyond concerns of the heart, concerns of something other.
Concerns
perhaps.
of the spirit. For now, it might just be the nervous meanderings of a broken heart, but perhaps we should, both of us, keep all of our senses alert this day. This, and she sort of takes a breath, joyful day.
Joyful indeed. I will keep an eye out for this Lucian, and if I see him again, I will direct him your way.
Absolutely, and we can all speak at a later time. But we're here to celebrate, and we wouldn't want to pull attention. And Hattie sort of looks around from the events of the day.
This whole time. I will back up.
Which I think anyone else would be really uncomfortable with, but I think Hattie's used to it with Father Cyrus. I think it's fine for her, but if anyone were to see us, it might be a bit odd. She says, let's enjoy the day. I'm sure Lucian is suffering from a broken heart, nothing more.
And I have some duties to perform today, I believe.
Oh, have they called you back to assist in officiating?
I'm presiding over the ceremony, yes. I was a bit surprised after, everything that's happened.
But you've been such a spiritual leader, and Moira undoubtedly has fond memories of your services.
And for that, I am grateful to be a part of such an occasion. I will be off now.
It's truly a joy to see you again, Father Cyrus. Do take care.
And I hope that you will stay a while. The town misses you.
It's nice to be back. We have some business to attend to, my sisters and I, and, well, I don't know. We'll see what happens once that is concluded.
Right. I shall kind of glide away.
I think Hattie will. our Hetty and I've just blanked on his name. Edwina. Well, Edwina's been sitting, but is Hetty back by this point?
Yes.
Okay. So then I will see her and thank you and Lieutenant Lockhart and go join them.
Hetty, do you and Lieutenant Lockhart sit together for the ceremony?
Oh. Well, I guess that'll depend. I will walk over to where Hattie is and through a gritted teeth smile say, "This, Hattie, sister, this is my betrothed, who you wrote to me about in a letter. Levi Lockhart, my sister, Harriet. Did you save a seat for me?"
I did, Hetty, and then I saw Father Cyrus and came to greet him, and well, let's go. We should check on Edwina anyway, and perhaps the seats are still there behind her.
Edwina is sitting at the front, of course.
And Hattie just starts walking down the aisle towards the front of the church.
I feel incredibly uncomfortable walking down the aisle with Lieutenant Lockhart.
How does Lieutenant Lockhart feel?
Lieutenant Lockhart is kind of fumbling over himself to try to bow and make his own introduction, but without interrupting the two sisters who clearly have things to discuss of a sisterly nature, and is just generally trying to be dapper and gracious while completely out of his depth, dealing with multiple women at the same time. No idea how to handle himself.
Will he offer to sit with Hetty, or will
absolutely.
he follow her lead?
He'll follow her physically down the aisle if she wishes to walk. Physically walk behind her, just kind of trailing along like a wide-eyed Disney puppy dog. And
it lingers at the edge of the pew. Is just like, should I? What?
Yeah, trying to follow her lead while also trying to do what he thinks like a young gentleman and a newly decorated officer of the military ought to do when presented with a lady who he's supposed to marry. So it's a mess.
A whole mess.
Oh, are there seats for all three of us, I suppose, behind Edwina?
So the first two pews, the first pew is reserved for family. The second pew is reserved for close friends. And then the third pew is reserved for everybody after that. There are a couple of people sitting in the second pew and only one person in the first pew, as Inspector Ezra Stewart will be giving Moira away. So it's just Edwina in the first pew.
Oh my god.
And then there are plenty of seats in the second pew.
I guess should we sit next to, what is she doing? Let's sit in the second.
Right behind her.
Sit behind Edwina.
Mm-hmm. Well, hello, Edwina. What a prime seat you've chosen for yourself.
Well, when one attends an event, one wishes to see the event well. And you know, Moira and I have been close since childhood. She's one of my dearest friends, and I certainly wouldn't want to miss any of the show.
I didn't realize you kept in touch with people in town. I certainly haven't heard from you.
Well, you know, you've been a little difficult to contact, Hetty. Where were you last?
Not difficult. You just contact Hattie. I find my ways. I pick up my messages.
There's only so much one can rely on you to actually get your messages. I didn't know when you'd even be around. How was I supposed to stay in contact? And yes, Moira and I have remained quite close.
I see Lieutenant Lockhart just like awkwardly standing at the edge of the pew as I've sat down and started like ignoring him and talking to my sisters. And I'm going to not pat, but just place my hand at the seat next to me, suggesting that he could sit if he wanted to sit, but not suggesting that he do, and say, the second pew reserved for close friends, and just look at him and see what he does.
I think Hattie is watching him just as closely, with no judgment or opinion, just watching to see what he does.
Sure. Yeah, Lockhart's going to nervously kind of straighten up his jacket. He's wearing his military finery, and sit down next to Hetty, but really like perched on the edge of his seat. Like he could get up and run away at any moment, but he's there.
Okay, Lieutenant Lockhart sits at a respectful distance with Hetty under the supervision of her chaperone.
My younger sister.
Who's a member of the church? Nobody's gonna fool around in front of a nun. Well, except Edwina, obviously.
Thank you. Yes, exactly.
It's like Edwina seems like the type to specifically seek out a nun. She's like, wait, we can't until the bells ring for mass.
I've gotten some letters from Edwina that were meant for someone else, and really, I just think that's how she gets her kicks.
Oops.
I just imagine Edwina came to visit you once, and she never came to your room. She never came to any of the food or anything. The only reason you know she came to visit is because she fell out of a confession box.
The convent of the Weeping Rose was never the same.
It was. They're like, okay, all the concession boxes have open doors now. And then they're like, wait, that didn't work.
It doesn't work.
Edwina's ruined it for everyone.
It's like, well, I guess we're Protestant now. No confession.
Amazing.
Anglican
And
church.
do we even want to know?
No.
They just find Edwina passed out in the baptismal font. I'm sorry. This is no longer Jane Austen.
Well, it's Jane Austen after dark. It's fine.
Jane Austen.
You know, those lost manuscripts.
All right. So the wedding gets underway unless any of you had anything else to add. Anyone you wanted to speak to?
Is Lucian actually staying for this ceremony?
Lucian is there, but he's on the groom's side.
Well, that's a choice.
And he is not in the close friends section of the groom's side.
Cool.
Cool.
I'm good in that case.
Yeah, he is sitting near the door, as far back as he can be from the actual altar.
Yeah.
So Father Cyrus takes his place at the podium, at the front of the altar, and the steps have been covered in sort of a dusting of. Roses are not necessarily something that this town can just afford to toss around every time they have a wedding. However, these ones were imported specifically. And you see these white roses that have come up all the way from the end of the chapel until they start turning pink and then a deep blood red at the altar. The doors to the chapel close, and there is a hush over the crowd, sort of this thrum of energy that the three of you are the best attuned to, especially Hattie. And you feel almost this chill on such a summer sultry day, a sultry, sweaty summer day. And the groom takes his place with long strides, closes hands with tapered fingers, one over the other, and stands to face the crowd, this chiseled jaw and an almost fox-like face, these eyes, sort of an amber gold. He takes one hand and sort of brushes a curl of this dark, sort of sable black hair behind his ears. And he smiles and addresses the crowd for a moment in a way that is unlike what you would typically do at a wedding. Typically, the groom does not speak unless spoken to. But he says, I would like to thank you for coming to my wedding. I understand that this is not a custom that is common, but the woman before me, my wife, has brought me such joy over these past months. She has truly warmed my heart and set my blood racing. I hope that she is content to spend the end of her days with me. The bride has already begun coming down the aisle to sort of chorus of young choir members. And you can hear them singing a collection of psalms that, if heard closely, resemble some verses from the Song of Solomon. she stops at the end of the aisle, and she's a vision, this ephemeral being. Her white roses are handed off to her caretaker, the inspector, and he raises her veil and kisses her once on her forehead. And Hetty, you can see that she has a sort of pallor that has come over her. Not so much that bridal glow. The alcohol she had pinkened her cheeks when you saw her, but there is no pink in her cheeks now. And the scarf is wrapped a little bit tighter around her throat. Ezra sits next to you, Edwina, and for a moment, you see him wipe a little sweat from his top lip, and his eyes sort of dart to you and then away. Father Cyrus carries a flawless sermon and officiation for the wedding. And before you know it, the groom has bundled this bride up in his arms and planted a very passionate kiss upon her. And she throws her arms around his neck with this wild abandon, as though she would drink his life out of him, as though he were all she needed to breathe. He puts his arm under her knees and carries her out of the chapel. And the rest of the room is sitting there stunned, as though they weren't entirely sure what they saw. You were all at the same wedding, but it seems there's almost a spell. And then it's over, and everybody is getting up and milling out and on their way to a reception. Let's go ahead and close this chapter and get ready for the next cycle.
All right. So, Good Society has narrative chapters, and then in between, as part of a cycle, there are different little stages that you go through. The first stage is the reputation phase. So this is where I'd mentioned that we should have the family background handout that I closed on my computer. Yay.
Oh no.
You said.
Yeah, I know. I told everyone to keep it open, and then I closed it. Let me see if I can get them. Yeah, there they are. They're in my recent files. So these are in the play materials that are on the Storybrewers Roleplaying website. If you go to the Good Society section and you kind of scroll down to the second half of the page. So what we're looking at is the gain a positive or negative tag sections. So my family background is ill-reputed. So I gain positive tags if I act in the service of duty or morality, in a way that compromised my desires, acted in obedience to society's conventions despite considerable hardship in doing so, or made a sacrifice or denied my own desires to show you're not like the rest of the family. And if I did one of those things, then I would gain a positive tag to my reputation. Tags being fun little mechanics we can use in the game instead of dice rolls to make things happen. I don't think I did any of those things, though. The negative tag things are acted in contravention of society's conventions, acted on desire in a way that compromised your duty or morality, or publicly defended any member of your family. I wonder if bringing a flask and offering the bride a drink was perhaps acting in contravention of society's conventions. I don't know what the group thinks.
Well, so here's my question about this sort of thing. Like, how much does it matter how many other people observed these things? Or is this just more of a personal thing?
More of a personal thing. It's kind of up to what you think happened.
Then absolutely.
Let's see. let's see. The negative tag examples they give are, so these are adjectives that you would use to tag or describe your character. The examples for ill-reputed are immoral, irresponsible, ruined, indebted, or unpredictable. I don't know if I'm necessarily those things. Maybe irresponsible, or maybe like lush might be something. I think I'm going to add lush as a negative tag for myself. And so how this comes up in the game is that I can call on one of my negative tags, or anyone else can invoke one of my negative tags and use it to make something happen in the game, make the consequences to my having that negative reputation. Do folks remember what their backgrounds were?
Yeah, mine is clergy.
Okay.
And I don't. Hattie was pretty like take in the lay of the land in that scene, so I don't know that I gained any tags, positive or negative, in that particular chapter.
Yeah, I feel like that makes sense.
Yeah.
What about Edwina, though?
Laud.
Yeah, you're not wrong. So Edwina is of the new money background. And let's see, acted in the service of duty or morality. Nah. Nah. I did none of these positive reputation things even a little bit. I did act in contravention of society's conventions, 100%. I acted.
Yeah, you did.
I really did. I acted in an uncouth, low class, or vulgar manner. I was pretty openly familiar with a man who is known to be a rake without a proper chaperone at hand.
Oh, true. Not
So
having
I feel
chaperone
like-
at all.
Yeah.
You didn't have a proper anything.
I'm just improper across the board.
That could be the tag,
bringing
just
scandal.
improper.
Yeah, improper is a good tag. Now, my question
Yeah.
is, do we get one negative tag per bad behavior, or is it just one?
I
Flat.
think that's kind of up to, I think it's just one.
Okay.
Yeah, let's just do one. Otherwise,
Sure.
we would have like a million,
I'm gonna wrap
and
it
then
up.
we'd have to invoke another mechanic.
Yeah, just Edwina's like, how many naughty points do I get?
Pretty much. So wait, what did we just say that I was taking on as a tag?
Improper. as a
Improper.
negative tag. Unless you want a different adjective. Totally
Amazing.
up to you.
I don't mind. Oh, I kind of like uncouth. That's just like
Ooh,
fun
yeah,
to say. It's a
uncouth.
chewy word. I like uncouth.
Uncouth.
Chewy.
Uncouth.
Yes, I'm taking on uncouth.
All right. So those are our the reputation phase. The next phase is rumors and scandals. So from our session 0, we have a few rumors already. They are, we were involved in the crimes we investigated, including some serial murders when we were child detectives. The other rumor is that our house, Cluett Manor, was haunted to heck by the victims of the children's investigations. So the first thing we do is that those rumors have been spread. They are now no longer spread, so I will uncheck that. We take turns. You can either make a new rumor, and this isn't your character making a rumor. This is part of shared storytelling. This rumor could come from anywhere. You can either make a rumor or choose to spread a rumor. Rumors that are not spread will eventually fade.
Yeah.
Um,
Let's start with Friday.
I think the obvious one would be to spread a rumor that, what's his name? Lord Simon?
Count
who's writing
Simon.
Yeah, that he murdered his former brides, right? Is that appropriate rumor fodder? That just,
I
it
think
feels
so.
like a really obvious one.
Yeah, Count Simon murdered his former brides. Eugenio, would you like to make a rumor or spread a rumor?
Think, because we each get 2 things,
Yes,
right?
well, the order is going to go Friday, Eugenio, me, and then it's going to bounce back.
Got it. So for my first one, I actually think I want to spread the rumor that we were involved in the crimes.
Okay.
I think the fact that we are all back in town and all being seen together, I think just revives all of those old rumors for us.
All right. I want to spread a or to create a rumor that Count Simon is a supernatural being because he has total vampire voice.
I don't understand. My third wedding was exactly like this. This is a normal human wedding. What is I don't understand. Honestly, that voice was a total accident. I had no voice for him. And I was
so
like,
you just
whoops.
Picked the Count
Amazing.
from Sesame
I just started talking and I was like, I guess this is it.
Perfect.
All the time.
Oh my gosh. Okay. And then as my second turn, I'm going to spread that Count Simon murdered his former brides.
Woo.
And I feel like that is potentially even Henrietta spreading that rumor after she's had a little bit too much to drink.
Yeah, it's just like, I mean, let's be honest. If this were like the first episode of a show, everybody watching the show would be like, this is a little much, right? Like, he's a vampire, right? Like, this white flower petals going into red. Like, is he a vampire? But it's a Jane Austen novel, so.
That's right.
And Eugenio, what is your second?
I think that my second one is I think my second one is that what is Moira's last name?
Moira,
heavens.
I think
I
her
studied and I
original
still
last
don't
name
know.
was Locke.
Yes, Ash. Oh.
It was
Ashton.
Carolyn Locke was the second wife. Moira
right,
Ashton.
sorry.
Moira Ashton. That's okay.
I get them so mixed up. He has so many.
Sorry.
Can't imagine why. So I think my rumor then is that the Ashton family is how shall we say, falling behind a bit on their religious obligations. So how do we put that into a rumor? The Ashton family is I want something about the fact that Father Cyrus was there, right? So I'm happy to have you all help me word this.
Okay. Like you
Father
think it's
Cyrus,
strange that they picked Father
yeah,
Cyrus?
that like since he is no longer technically the vicar right in town, and he is not the vicar in town for lots of reasons, not all of them 100% savory. The fact that he was there, I think, starts a bit of a gossip.
Yeah.
So maybe it's that how to phrase it.
The Ashton family has fallen out of favor with the church.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, that's great.
That's
great.
Okay. And then Friday, would you like to create or spread a rumor?
I'd like to create a rumor, and I'm going to completely change direction from what we've been doing and go totally petty and create a rumor that that's not Hetty's natural hair color.
Edwina 100% started, but it's like Harriet has the same hair color.
Totally.
She doesn't have, they're not identical. They're just thirsty for attention. They just want everyone to think they're identical.
Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh.
So they think they'll be more popular that way.
So basically,
It's like
Hetty
such a
dyes
burn
her
book
hair.
rumor. Such a burn book rumor.
Yeah, right? So funny.
She thought we couldn't see her roots.
Oh my gosh. Okay. What?
She left a patch of gray down in the bottom. It's just like, old maid Hetty.
The last phase before we jump into some more role playing is the epistolary phase, so letter writing phase.
Oh God.
So your character or your side character that you play can write letters to somebody, and you can either just describe or even read to us like a little excerpt of the letter, and you can do up to 2. So does anyone have one?
Oh, you want to go, Friday?
I want you to go first. I'm still formulating the language.
Oh, me too. Here we go. I think Hattie is, you know, in the bustle of the reception and everything, we don't get as much, she doesn't get as much of a chance as she would like to talk to Father Cyrus. So I think Hattie is going to write a letter to Father Cyrus after that display. My dearest Father Cyrus, it was truly a joy seeing you today at the nuptial fete of our dear friend Moira Ashton. It was wonderful to see you at the altar officiating again, though perhaps one might wish it were under slightly more typical circumstances. It seems that perhaps our mutual friend, whose last name I've forgotten, our mutual friend Mr. Knight, may have, in fact, been onto something. I think it best that you and I keep all of our senses alert for the remainder of my family's stay, of my sister's stay here in town, and perhaps you and I can meet to discuss these things further, perhaps even with Mr. Knight. Be well, take care. And take care is sort of written, like, clearly there was a little more pressure on the quill, and it's underlined. Take care, and I do hope to see you again soon. Fondly, Hattie Cluett. Harriet Cluett.
Scribble, scribble, scribble.
Yeah. I gotta start over.
Friday, did you have one in mind?
Yes.
Yes, please go.
Oh, yes. Okay. A letter from Edwina to one Lord Enoch Skeffington. And I'm sorry, do these letters, a question, were these letters written before or after the wedding? Is this between chapters, or is this
Whenever
something
you like.
Okay, great. A letter to one Lord Enoch Skeffington from Edwina Cluett before her arrival in town. My dear Lord Enoch, 3 years have passed since I last laid eyes upon your face. You, at the time we last spoke, showed favor to my sister above myself. I hope that in the time that we've been apart, you've learned to embrace the more worldly ways of of the younger sister, and I hope that you and I won't regret the time that we encounter each other again in the near future. See you soon, Edwina Cluett. And yes, that's very clearly a threat. She wrote it in red ink, with a lot of flourish.
See you soon.
In the signature. See you soon, Edwina
Like
Cluett.
drips a couple red ink splotches on the paper.
Perfect.
And then kisses it.
Hetty's letter is written in sort of sporadic looking handwriting, not the neat lettering that she learned as a child. And it almost seems like the hand is changing a couple times throughout. And she writes, my dear Carolyn, I'm sorry that I left you. Is this what your wedding, your nuptials were like? So strange, so odd. If only I could have been there for you, if only circumstances hadn't prevented it. But I will get to the bottom of what happened. And the letter is left with flowers on Carolyn Locke's grave. Carolyn being the late wife of Count Simon.
Yes. All right. So during this,
Do you have
during
another
the
letter, Eugenio?
during the epistolary, everyone writes 2 letters, including me.
Oh, you get to write
including
them too?
you.
I didn't know that.
Okay, because I was just about to use a result token to ask you for
it's
a
okay.
letter.
Yeah, no, you don't have to. I can do it.
Okay.
But yeah, so go ahead. tell me what your second one is.
Well, my second one was going to be the other epistolary mechanic, which was to request that I receive a letter from Lucian Knight.
Ooh.
Okay. Yeah.
If that's cool.
That was one of the ones I was going to do.
Oh, great. Well, I should sit quietly until you're done with that, and then I'll come up with another thing if you would like.
Yeah. Does anybody have one in the meantime? Before
I
we
kind
get
of
back
want to
to
get a
my-
cutie letter from Lockhart.
Okay.
I want to send a cutie letter from Lockhart.
Okay. Do you wanna go ahead and use your second letter to send a cutie letter?
That was my plan,
ahead.
yes.
Yeah. What's your cutie letter say?
My cutie letter says, my dearest Hetty, but then the my dearest is kind of awkwardly scribbled out because it was too forward. Henrietta. My heart soars when I imagine getting to lay eyes upon your face for the first time. Your radiance has been described to me in such words. I can't imagine finding a bride more suited to my current position and the openness of my heart. And I believe we have a long and happy life ahead of us, full of flowers and love. Your dearest, and then scribbled out, Lieutenant Levi Lockhart.
Oh, he's so sweet. I feel bad because Hetty 100% opens this and is like, oh, the youth. I want to hear TK's letters.
All right. So the first one is from Lucian Knight, and it is written in a shaky hand. It is It has been written in an ink that needs to be squeezed with a little lemon and held over a fire to read.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. And it is in a cipher that needed to be broken before you could read it. And it says, Sister of the Weeping Rose, my time is short. I fear that he knows that I know this truth. I will meet you tomorrow at sunrise. There is no time that is safe during the evening. The catacombs are our only hope now. Signed, LK.
I'm way more upset about this than Hattie is. Hattie is like very matter of fact about this letter, But holy bananas!
Yep. So that's my first letter. Does anybody have second letters?
I'm good with my cute letter for Levi.
Okay. All right, then I will go ahead and send a second letter. This letter will be a letter also for this letter will be a letter also for oh, I lied. I'm a liar. This letter will be for Edwina, but it is signed. It is on stationery of the Black Academy, which was a finishing school that Moira attended and that you are very familiar with. This comes before the wedding. And Madam Sylvia Black has written to you. It says, Young Miss Cluett, it has come to my attention that your sister has for some time been ensconced in bribery and blackmail. She has... What is the word I'm looking for? She has... what is that word? It doesn't matter. She has stolen a good amount of my hard-earned money, but I know her secret. When you come to town, ask me about Lord Cornelius Owen, And that is and it is signed Black.
Oh.
Ooh, I'm gonna fold that up and keep it someplace secret, someplace safe.
All right. So those are all my letters. Anybody else?
Oh, you know what? I haven't done a second thing since you did a Lucian thing on your own. So I'll send Edwina a letter from Lord Pratt that says, Eddie, great seeing you today. Let's catch up sometime. Drinks, perhaps with a bit of spice. Signed, Lord Pratt. What's his first name? Lord something goofy. Pratt.
Francis.
Francis. That's it. Yes. No, you know what? It's just signed. Fran.
Scandalous.
Not Frank. Not
No,
Frankie.
Fran.
Fran. Fred Pratt.
Fran Pratt.
When you receive this letter, what is it on stationery or like the back of a newspaper?
It is. No, it's on stationery because it's absurd that this man used a piece of gorgeous heavyweight stationery to send such a tossed off whatever letter.
Mm-hmm. When you open the letter, there is a smell of sort of fire and
don't say it.
Boyfriend shirt smell. Fire and lawnmower clippings.
Yes.
It's like a bonfire. It's very much a boyfriend candle smell.
Oh, and you know what else he included in there? He has gotten his hands on a very fine stick of cinnamon that he also just tossed in the envelope.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
I see him. I see Fran.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
He's not subtle. He's a lot of things. But...
Yeah.
That makes two of us, buddy.
I will also say, never mind. I changed my mind. I was going to say something.
I imagine spice is in all capital letters and underlined and in quotations.
Yeah, and there's a heart over the eye.
Oh, yeah, there is. If emojis had been invented, there'd be 8 winky faces.
8 winky faces. Crying, laughing faces.
Excellent.
All right. Did anybody else have any more letters?
I'm good.
Okay. All right. I think that it's okay for us to go ahead and get back into the novel chapter.
Yes.
Oh, whoopsies. All right. So we can decide whether this is an event, a visitation, or a split. If it's an event, this is something that all of you are attending, like weddings, balls, dinners, receptions. If it is a visitation, your characters are going and meeting people. That's a little bit more splitting off to do your stuff. Or we can do a split.
I'm kind of down with it being an event where we're all attending.
Okay.
For now.
Sure. I mean, there's still the reception.
Unless there were specific things people wanted to do. I don't know if Harriet wanted to...
I mean, there's lots of things that Hattie needs to do. So, I mean, I don't know. It depends on sort of when, TK, you want this next scene to happen, because I do apparently have a meeting in the morning, so.
Okay, let's say that it is, they got married on a Friday. Let's say that there is a garden party reception later that evening.
Perfect.
That you're all looking to attend. And we're in the later hours of the garden party. Pretty much the who's who have all shown up now, fashionably late. And it is in it's not a hedge maze, but it is an apple orchard that is strung up shaped like a maze. Yeah, it's like a hedge maze with like apple orchard trees just like strategically placed. There are little stone benches, and there are these sort of paper lanterns that are hung from the branches of the apple trees that are just beginning to blossom because they will not be fruiting until much later in the year. But for now, their little pink and white blossoms are reflecting this like hazy light from the lanterns beautifully. It has not really cooled down since the sun went down, and so you still like have like this small haze of perspiration. I assume you all changed clothing. What are we wearing?
I feel like I had to recycle my dress, so I haven't changed.
Okay.
I don't think I have any interest in changing, so I didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, I certainly did.
I'm just asking because like you certainly sweated through your clothes like at the ceremony.
Oh, even better. Then I did change into another one of the exact same outfit.
Exact same. Indistinguishable.
Exact same outfit, the wimple pins on the other side.
Yes, exactly.
Mix it up. Yeah, so Edwina is now in a different gown that is also silk. Everything is silk always. She's laced some pearls in the hair, and the bosom is perhaps a bit more zhuzhed, and maybe there's even at certain angles a flash of ankle.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I'll say, because this is like an actual historical thing that some Regency gowns would do, so some Regency gowns, their underskirts that were the slips would cinch at the waist, so you could just like draw the string up a little bit, and so the gauzy outer layer would show like your ankle bones without showing like full ankle, and it was like it, I'm not showing it.
Technically.
What kind of shoes is she wearing?
Oof, God.
Hellenic was very in, so sandals would not be out of place.
Fantastic. Let's go with definitely some sandals. What material?
Ooh, I don't know. Something with like something, she has to show up the bride again. So something with like maybe some like mother of pearl insets.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, something that's bright and, just enough to show up the bride.
When you see your sister Edwina dressed like this, Hetty, do you change anything about your outfit or?
I imagine I change into another sensible secondhand gown.
Of course.
But I am going to comment to Hattie. Where is Edwina getting the money for such luxuries? I'm engaged to Lieutenant Lockhart because our family is in financial ruin. And yet we can see her ankles, for goodness sake.
Believe me, she's not getting it from me or from mother and father. It's Edwina. Isn't it better not to know?
I'm just saying, if she's... I don't see why I have to be the one who saves the family by locking myself to the Lockhart family.
I know, dear, I know. And look, we have other things to address during our visit here, but you took such good care of us when we were young, Hetty, and I'm doing my best. And if I can find a way, you know that I will.
Well, at least the ceremony's over and the party's about to begin, and... Do you want a drink? We should get drinks.
You know what? Yes, Hetty. I think that is exactly what you and I need right now.
I'm going to grab Hattie's hand and kind of start dragging her through the crowd to find wherever the drink table is.
I am going to... Okay, great. If we can get drinks, like little like punches or whatever. I'm sure it's, and then I want to take Hetty over to like one of the orchard trees and sort of step behind it so we're not immediately obviously visible to everyone. I'm going to reach into my handbag and pull out my Bible. I'm going to open the Bible and just start flipping through, and just sort of out of the corner of my eye, I'm watching Hetty as I like flip through the Bible.
I'm going to get 2 drinks, one for Hattie and one for me.
Okay, your little Dixie cups, got it.
Drink mine and then refill my cup before I go over to Hattie.
Amazing. So when you get to me, you see that I'm flipping through and paging through, and I'm on Revelations, and then I keep paging, and there are a few blank pages after Revelations, and then I finally turn one very thin onion skin page, and at the back of this Bible, there's another chunk of empty pages that have been cut out with a flask in the middle of them.
Oh, you are my sister.
I am your sister, and I tip a little into our drinks.
Hetty does a genuine smile.
And right before you take a sip, I like stop you, and I grab my rosary and I say, Ave Maria, gratia plena. No, I'm just kidding. Have a drink, Hetty.
And I tip it back. That ceremony was very strange, right? It seemed strange.
Yes, it did, and I think we need to ask Edwina about it too. You and I have always, I have always sort of noticed things, and when I pick up on things, you pick up on things, but I just want to know how obvious it was. Do you think that anyone else noticed the decor, but do you think anyone else noticed the peculiarities there, particularly at the end?
Well, I feel like many people noticed Eddie's peculiarities.
Wow.
But you're right. Let's ask her. If she could notice something other than herself, then we're onto something.
I really want to respond, but I am still now the responsible sister, so I'm not going to. So we can go look for Eddie.
Great. And I think at this time Eddie has kind of been trying to eyeball the situation and see if Lord Enoch has made his way in here, and if there's anyone else kind of note. I'm curious to talk to Enoch. I'm curious also to talk to who is it, Madam, what's her face? The spooky one,
Madam Black. Yeah,
Yes.
as you are scanning.
Wait, I want to spend a resolve token.
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I don't know who I'm offering this to. I guess I'm offering it to TK or maybe Eugenio. I want us to, on our way to Edwina, in full view of Edwina, for us to bump into Enoch's Skeffington and for him to have an interaction with Harriet.
Technically that's a resolve token for me.
Yeah,
I was just like doing the math in my head.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, so that is my token now.
Okay, I offer you the resolve token.
Thank you.
Oh goodness.
Enoch Skeffington.
Bless.
All right. As the two of you are making your way back from the orchard, how much have you drank?
I have not had that much yet. And to be honest, Hattie didn't put a ton in her drink. She's she's no Hattie.
Is it just wine?
No, I think it probably is like
sacramental wine. It's Manischewitz.
Oh God, it's not the I do think it's a spirit. So like probably.
Sorry.
That's what I say it is. That's what I call. If anyone asks,
holy water is just 120 proof vodka.
Right. Yeah. If anyone asks, if anyone ever sees me with it, I say, "Oh, it's my holy water for reasons." But I think it's probably just gin or something.
Could you imagine if it's just like high proof vodka? You're like, it's holy water. You just splash it in someone's face.
Set it on fire.
Incredible. This
Amazing.
has to be this is our Chekhov's gun right now, and it will come back in the 4th episode. In the finale. Write it down. Buffy that.
Chat says Vicar vodka, and I'm obsessed with that.
Vicar vodka.
Incredible.
I already have Hattie has a Bible flask, and now I'm just going to add that it's, Everclear
I can't believe that in my notes I wrote the sentence, Hetty and Hattie sneak into the orchard with drinks from Hattie's hidden Bible stash. I was like, wow.
So good so far. All right, containing Everclear. Got it.
All right. Tell me everything is wonderful. As the two of you step from the orchard, deciding however you wish how much you drank, the haze of the reception has absolutely set in. People are talking a little bit more freely. People are mingling with parties they didn't necessarily come with. We're starting to get into the early hours of the morning, where the golden hours. This is the hours where rumors and scandal are born. And Hetty, as you begin to sort of veer off a little bit from Hattie, you become aware of like a warmth, almost not quite edging its way in between you, but your back collides with somebody else's back. As a man who is walking in the same direction as you, but facing the opposite direction, sort of collides gently with the two of you, and he spins around and attempts to catch both of you before either one of you tumble to the ground. And you see that he has removed the formal gloves that he wore for the ceremony, and he is no longer wearing his jacket, only the vest and the sort of crisply pressed shirt, his jabot as well, his tie is completely loosened. And when he sees the two of you, you see that his ponytail has sort of come undone, and I am so sorry.
Lord Skeffington.
Hattie.
Lord Skeffington.
Harriet, Hi.
It's, well, I suppose not a surprise to see you here. How are you finding the evening?
You can see that his cheeks and his nose are a little pink. Beautiful ceremony. I wanted to celebrate the newlyweds. I should get going, but it's so good to see you.
Of course, it was lovely to see you too. As he starts to walk away, perhaps louder than strictly required, Hattie yells, "Oh, and thank you so much for the flower, Lord Skeffington."
His shoulders go rigid for a moment, and when he turns around, there is this sort of look upon his face. It's almost a sly smile.
Oh.
And he comes back to you. And it's like he takes like very slow steps. When he gets to you, you can tell he's a very tall man. The point of his shoulders are about at your forehead. Oh. And he makes a show of cleaning up his jabot, tightening it, and then redoing the cuffs of his sleeves, and says, "Be blessed, Sister Harriet. I'll see you at Mass."
I don't know how I feel.
Lord be with you, Lord Skeffington.
And also with you, Hattie. And he walks away.
Can I want to retcon something.
Yes.
Because we got all sweaty during the ceremony, I want to have borrowed a dress from Harriet, so we are dressed the same. And when we got bumped, Harriet dropped her Bible and I picked it up.
Yes.
And now I would like to spend my monologue token to hear what's going through Edwina's head.
Yes.
This is, first of all, incredible. I can't believe that you've stolen Hattie's boyfriend. In that case, I think that he originally flirted with you, but once told, once he walked away, and Hetty said the flower thing, and he turned around and realized that he was seeing double, and the other one said something, that's when he got very, like,
Oh, I love that.
assertive with it. Possibly because he might have thought he was being tricked somehow.
Oh.
But in a playful way.
Sure.
Okay.
So, monologue token.
Yes, please.
Okay. So as Edwina is watching this interaction between her two sisters and Sir Enoch, the man she has decided is hers from childhood, Edwina was saying to herself, I sent that man a letter. I could not have possibly been more clear. And that Hetty, she knows exactly what she's doing, and she always thinks that just because she's the oldest by minutes, she thinks that she can just have whatever she wants, no matter whom gets hurt. She has no idea. She has no idea what's coming for her. Smile while you can, Hetty. See you take my man again.
I'm gonna die.
No matter who gets hurt, I'm gonna have to kill him. That man is dead. All right. So Enoch runs into the two of you, which leaves Lady or Madame Sylvia Black to sort of as Edwina is lounging around the punch table and sort of lingering like a little barfly, she hears a behind her. Miss Cluett.
Ah, Madame Black.
And before you is this a sort of almost miniature woman. She was probably tall in her prime, but age has made her bones a little spongy. And so she couldn't be much taller than 5'1". Now she has her hair in a very tight bun that sort of like lifts her forehead away, and so her eyebrows, what's left of them as they have wisped off, are always like in this perpetual surprise. She has the smallest rimmed glasses you've ever seen, almost dime sized, and she is rather myopic, though it's hard to tell whether she is squinting because she is glaring at you or because it's difficult for her to see you. You remember being terrified of this woman in your youth, but not so much anymore. And she is wearing, of course, a widow's gown, as she wears to all occasions at all times.
Madam Black, I received your letter. Thank you for reaching out. It's lovely to hear from you
fool.
again.
I don't want her to overhear.
I beg your pardon for exchanging familiar, friendly words. I can come visit you at the school tomorrow.
Of course. That's when I would expect to see you, not here flouncing about.
Well, that's when I would expect to see you, so make yourself available.
And she like glares at you again, as though she's not entirely sure how to answer, because the last time you talked back to her, you were probably 11. And she sort of like grumpily grips the sort of crystal head on the black cane that she carries. And then she turns abruptly on a heel and stalks towards Inspector Stewart. Yeah, there's not enough finger food here. You're going to have everybody inebriated. She carries on in that direction.
For good measure, I'd like to glare at Ezra as well, that Inspector Stewart.
Ezra sort of like looks over his shoulder at you, and you can see he's got this very beleaguered host's face. Ezra was very much like a sort of beat cop whenever you were children, but now he's gotten to the point where he's more of a commissioner. He does a lot of desk work. He does a lot of community service. And honestly, it's very past his bedtime. But he's been attempting to usher people out of the reception for hours, and it is not working. So when you do glare at him, he's just... What do you do, right? He does approach you after she carries off to the side. He says, Edwina, you look...
Inspector.
You look good.
Well, thank you. I'm fully 19 now.
Wouldn't have guessed. You still look, young. I meant more. And the way that he speaks, you knew growing up that Moira, all of her inheritance was from her parents. She went to a fancy school because her parents passed, et cetera, et cetera. But her uncle was very much a laborer, very lower class. And so the way he speaks to you, it's as though he still believes you're a child, and he's not entirely sure how to speak socially to like a lady of your standing. Did you have an enjoyable time at the ceremony?
I did, thank you. It was a lovely ceremony. I appreciate any gathering with so many flowers.
Yeah. It was, and he furrows his eyebrows and his eyes sort of crinkle at the corners. It was, exactly like the two before it.
You attended the two before?
Everyone attends those.
Well, I suppose I was busy off making my debut and becoming an educated grown woman.
It makes sense. You've got a lot of things to do, obviously. And honestly, I was going to say once you've seen one, you've seen them all, but you really have. It was exactly like the other two.
The same flowers?
Same flowers.
The same dress?
Same dress. In fact, Count Cradock paid for everything. He provided everything, so...
Do you know the Count well, Inspector?
No, he's a secretive man. Moved here about, I want to say 5 years ago.
And how did he and Moira come to meet, if you'll refresh my memory?
Oh, she's a nurse now. She was Carolyn's nurse before Carolyn passed.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Moves on quick, I see.
It was very quick. And that's all he says. But I think even now there is a code that you are communicating with that you used when you were a child, and he was the detective liaison for your child detective troupe. It was very quick. It could mean anything, everything, or nothing.
I see. Well, pleasure to see you again, Detective. Stay in touch.
You and your sister staying long?
Well, one never knows. One travels where one is needed, and we're back for the foreseeable future.
Good. You should see if you're needed here.
We'll ask around. Thank you, Inspector.
Oh, maybe discreetly, people still...
I do nothing not discreetly. Discretion's my middle name, Inspector.
Didn't you sit in the front pew with me?
Yes, and well noticed. I see you're as sharp as ever.
He's like adding discreetly 2 + 2 in his head. He's like, enjoy the wine, Edwina. Not too much, obviously.
I already am, Inspector.
And make sure that make sure you travel in groups. Strange times in Honeyfield.
Noted.
Strange times. And he stalks away.
Eddie.
Hetty?
Here, have some of I'm still holding Hattie's
Hattie.
Bowl.
I'm just like, oh well, okay, weird. I have some of this Bible juice. And I kind of block my body from the rest of the party and pour some into your drink.
Hattie definitely comes up and is like, Hetty, I'm sure she's had quite enough, and takes the Bible from you. But thank you for picking that up.
What did you think of that ceremony? I have been hearing the strangest rumors at this reception.
Well, I was speaking with Ezra. You know, we were always quite close. He's always thought highly of me. And he seems to think that there's something very strange afoot. He said this wedding was exactly the same as the 2 previous.
Same as
No
Carolyn's.
difference. Down to the details. Now that's
Eddie,
very strange.
Did you notice anything strange about particularly the end of the ceremony?
Well, I mean, my Moira has never been known to be weak on her feet like that. She looked like she could barely hold herself up. It was embarrassing.
She seemed very pale. No color in her cheeks. Not like I left her when we spoke right before the ceremony.
You spoke with her before the ceremony?
Of course.
Well, I guess you're closer than I knew.
Not first
What did she
few
say?
close, but she said that she was very happy. She said that the Count treats her well. And she said that Carolyn Locke, his former wife, was very sick. Now, I hear through others, of course, that Carolyn was never sick a day in her life. So it... You know, that Locke family constitution, I hear. So it just seems strange. Harriet, what do you think? You've always had that sort of sixth sense.
I think that it is no coincidence that the 3 of us were all able to return for our dear friend Moira's wedding. I think, as they say, it might be time to dust off the old spyglasses, ladies. I think there is mystery afoot. Hetty, I think if you can, we should find out more, perhaps, about Carolyn's last days. And Eddie, well, perhaps if you already had some information about the previous weddings, you could find out more about the Count?
Of course.
Do you remember Lucian Knight?
Fantastic fashion sense, well-poised, dapper, lover of the Count, if I recall.
That's the one. Yes, exactly. I heard from him. I don't want to influence your opinions on whatever it is that we discover, but I received communication from him and have a meeting in the morning with him to discuss the events. As I say, I think we may be back, sisters.
You must find out anything that you can from Lucian. The Count, maybe even Moira herself, have something to do with Carolyn's death. I am sure of it. And his previous wife, whatever her name might have been.
Surely you don't suspect Moira, Hetty. We've known Moira for, well over a decade.
Right. Childhood friend. Good Moira. I just know that Carolyn's death was no accident. I feel it in these bones.
Loath as I am to agree with Hetty, I mean, surely your powers of observation are as middling as they always have been, dear. But I have to say, in this case, I think she's right. I agree with you, certainly, Hattie. Of course, this bears looking into.
Sort of taking Hetty's hand very discreetly and just giving it a little squeeze, I say, well, then we are agreed. We have work ahead of us.
Another case for the Cluett Sisters.
Do we remember how?
Surely it's like riding a bike.
Some of us do.
Never learned. Great.
All right. I think that's chapter end. Why don't we do some upkeep?
All right. So for those who spent monologue and resolve tokens, all of those reset. I think that's me. Boop, boop. And for those who didn't spend monologue tokens, here is your opportunity to, if there's a character or side character from whom you'd like to hear.
It's meant to be, so we monologue one of the characters that the three of us play, yeah, either a major character or one of our side characters.
Yes.
Okay.
Although, I mean, if we want to make TK monologue, I'm down
I wouldn't
for.
hate it.
If folks want a moment too, I'd also
we'd like a Simon Cradock monologue.
Yes.
What's he doing right now?
Just a right. Villain monologue.
What's he doing? Villain? What? Why do y'all think this is a wedding?
A wedding.
I'm kind of interested in hearing what's going. I mean, I already spent my monologue token actually, so never mind.
Oh. I want a Hetty monologue.
Oh, okay. Anything in particular, or just what's going through her mind right now?
Ooh, I want whatever's going through her mind. I just want to know.
Okay. What's going through Hetty's mind right now is you're biased, you know. Surely there's something strange happening, but Moira would never do anything. She's too kind. You don't know that. She was her nurse. Who else could have been poised to poison or harm or just hurt Carolyn in some way? It's true, but the Count. We should focus on the Count. Something strange about them. I feel it. Tell Hattie that I feel it. Hattie will confirm and shush you. At the very least, being stuck in the body of a 23-year-old girl, at least it would be a detective. At least I can get to the bottom of my daughter's death. That's what's going through.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's some really good, Schmiegel Gollum vibes there.
Yeah.
I like it so much.
All right. Who else has any monologue tokens?
I have one left. We've already gotten monologues from Hetty and Edwina, so I'm looking at the side characters that we all play to see if I want Father Cyrus or Lieutenant Levi to give us anything. I wouldn't hate a little monologue. I'm so sorry, Lisa, from Father Cyrus. I would do it myself just to cap it off, but I don't think we could use monologue tokens on ourselves. So.
Oh, I mean, I would be okay. you didn't get to monologue at all. So if you want to do a monologue either as Francis or I was going to say that I wanted to hear what Hattie had to think.
Yeah, I can do a brief one for Hattie this time around then. So Hattie this is sort of her little moment after we disperse from the party. She stares after Hetty, and just pretty short and sweet, what she is thinking is, Agatha knows something. I'm gonna have to put off that exorcism. I think that's it.
Depth.
Oh. Yeah, so that was our first session of the Haunting of Good Society. I hope folks in chat that you had a blast. I had so much fun with all of you. I love telling stories with you all. Let us go ahead and do some outros, and let's go in backwards order, starting with TK, who I think is probably writing a note right now.
I'm so sorry. I was writing. I was writing notes. How did you know? I was like, my head was like slightly inclined.
How did you know?
Like, huh?
This isn't my first time at the rodeo.
TK
Truly.
will remember this. Yeah, but I can't just like randomly kill you guys anymore. The rules are different. It's me, it's TK. I write spooky stories. I put them on the internet. If you like spooky stories, then you can read them at my website, tkjwrites.com, or you can read them on or you could like follow me on Twitter, I guess. I don't know. TKJWrites, or no, TK Joins the Fray, I think is what I think that's what my Twitter is. I'm not really on Twitter right now, because it's fucking horrible. Because everything's awful. But you know, sometimes I am, and sometimes if you like tweets about how hot the sphinxes are in the never-ending story.
I saw that today, and I should have replied because I was like, yes,
right?
Yes.
I just saw that for the first time like last month, and I was like, what?
You were like honestly, when I saw that as a kid, I was like,
That would have been really formative for me as well. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I was like, something's awakened in me. Not sure what yet. I don't know if it's Booby's wings or the ability to crush me, but it's something.
Yep.
Anyway, that's what I'm doing. Find me here every Friday, and find me on D&D every Tuesday, DMing for the disastrously unfunny indoor recess crew. I think I'll be playing Dead by Daylight tomorrow for Spooky Slumber Party. I don't know. We never know what we're doing on that show. Anyway, goodbye.
Friday.
Fantastic outro. Is it mine?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Friday. Bye, I'm Friday. And you can find me here every Friday night this month with these wonderful, beautiful people who I feel really bad already about being so mean to, but I'm not going to take it back.
No.
And you can also find me on all social media, both as my corporate goon self, small business owner self, at Friday Tea, and also as my own human individual self at Friday Elliott. I also have my own Twitch channel on here at Friday Afternoon Tea, and there I play Monkey Island and talk about tea and just hang out and dweeb around for kicks. So I'm a friendly person on the internet. Come find me and say hi.
I love it. Hi everybody, I'm Eugenio, DM Jazzy Hands. You can find me on Twitter at DM Jazzy Hands. I am a game designer and writer and streamer. I have an actual play D&D podcast that y'all can check out. We release new episodes every Wednesday. It's called The Last Refuge. TK was a guest on an episode last season, or a couple of episodes last season, in which we just tortured one of my poor players for 2 hours.
I played a flat earther.
It was amazing. So you can check out the show at DND Last Refuge on Twitter. And then I also stream here on Twitch on Tuesday and Thursday afternoons, twitch.tv/DM Jazzy Hands. Let's see what else. Monday nights, I'm over on the Roll20 channel playing some Burn Bright, also with Elisa. We get 2 a week. We are lay spoiled. And I think actually, and every other Tuesday, I'm over on Mini Train Domain's channel playing Harper's Tale Hope and Redemption, a really fun D&D campaign with Dr. B from Take This and Goblin Katie and the Crafting Muse V. That's where you can find me in a normal week, but follow me on Twitter and I always post there where I'm going to be.
And I am Lysa Penrose. First, I want to say thank you to Storybrewers Roleplaying, Friday Afternoon Tea, and Beholder Studio for helping to make this possible. This was the first of 4 episodes in a miniseries, so join us every Friday evening in January here on twitch.tv/Lysa Penrose. Episodes will also be posted on YouTube and will be converted to a podcast as well on the Behold Her podcast feed. You can find me here as Lysa Penrose on Twitter and Instagram, or check out that podcast, Behold Her podcast, which is all about femmes and tabletop role playing. I just released a new episode which is about femmes on tabletop YouTube, which is really awesome, so go check that out, and also check out the Behold Her Studio Patreon, which, if you loved this episode and need to know what all these secrets we were giggling about and making faces about were, the session 0 that spills all the tea is up on my Patreon, so go check that out. And thank you everyone in chat for joining us, and thank you TK for running, and everyone for being here. I had so much fun. But until next Friday, I guess we'll haunt you later. Bye, everybody.
Thanks for coming to this totally normal wedding.
Woo!